Shalom. My name is Ben-Zion Greenberger. This video is an introduction to a course that I will be presenting on my YouTube channel on the topic of Halachic estate planning. So first, a few words about myself. Until this past summer of 2021, I served as the Rav of Beit Knesset Mitzpeh Nevo in Ma'ale Adumim in Israel, where we reside, my family and I. Where for the last 35 years I was the Rav of that shul. I am a musmach of Gaon Rav Mendel Kravitz Zal, who was the Rosh Yeshiva of RJJ, where I learned for smicha. I also have a degree in law from Columbia University and a PhD in law from Hebrew University in Yerushalayim. I've devoted many of my professional years on this topic of halachic estate planning. I worked as an associate in a major law firm in Manhattan in the Trust and Estates Department. I taught estates law and estate planning in Touro Law School, and then served as a judge in Israel for 20 years until my retirement in 2018, most of which were in family court and in the Mechozi court, the district court of Yerushalayim, where I dealt extensively in a judicial capacity with many issues relating to inheritance in general and the halacha of inheritance in particular. I've lectured in Israel extensively on this topic, written as well on this topic, and I believe that through the vehicle of this YouTube channel, I can contribute to a broader appreciation of the considerations that one should bring to bear when one is planning one's estate. Planning an estate involves thinking about how one's estate should be divided when one passes away. Who are the family members that one wishes to benefit? What kind of assets are we distributing? And should we distribute particular assets to one family member as opposed to another? And then how do we do it? What techniques do we implement in order to bring about the results that we would like? And above all of these, which are obviously relevant no matter where we live and whatever jurisdiction we happen to reside, we have to consider, what does halacha have to say about the way in which we divide our estate and the methods with which we accomplish that division. I should note that there's an increasing interest in this topic just in the last decade, perhaps two, in the modern Orthodox community, which had not existed previously. This topic was pretty much a closed book for most people who weren't even aware of the fact that halacha had anything to say about this topic. But as the general level of wealth in the Orthodox community began to increase, and people began to look into this issue of estate planning in general, talking to their attorneys, talking to their accountants, and at the same time, an increased depth of learning and knowledge in halacha and every applicability of halacha in modern life, this too increased a curiosity and an interest in what halacha may have to say about dividing one's estate. Should one divide one's estate in a particular manner? Who are the heirs al pi din Torah, and to what extent am I permitted to deviate from that list of Yorshim al pi Torah in order to spread the estate among beneficiaries that I would wish to provide for? These questions are very fundamental, very basic. And there have been some short articles, individual lectures that you can find on the internet dealing with this issue. But in the lectures that I've been giving over the last few years, I've come to understand that people would like to dig into this topic in a much more fundamental way, to learn the sources firsthand, not just to get a summary of the halachot which this or that Rav presents. Learn the sources firsthand, the primary sources, starting from Mikra, learning the Parsha of Banot Tzlafchad, which we all know to be the primary Torah source for the order of Yerusha, and to take it from there, through the Gemarot, through the Poskim, and especially through the Shelot Tshuvot of the Poskim throughout the generations, who've had to deal more and more with the issues relating to wills and distributions of estates in the various countries of the Golah, and especially in cases where people took no steps to validate the division of their estate according to halachic principles. In many tshuvot, the poskim had to deal with situations where the decedent had left a secular will, which was valid according to the laws of the jurisdiction in which he resided until his death, and took no steps to grant halachic validity to those wills. And then the question becomes, to what extent can halacha recognize the results of these non-halachic wills, if you will? So we have a series of questions that I would like to really get into in this series of videos that'll be uploaded to this channel. What is Yerusha? Who are my heirs according to the Torah? What is the status of the Bechor? To what extent am I allowed to deviate from the Torah order of succession, which in the terminology of Chazal is called Ha'avarat Nachala? To what extent am I allowed to be Ma'avir Nachala? Or must I stay within the boundaries of the Torah mandated division of my estate? In any event, what are the techniques that are available to me in order to ensure that whatever I do decide to do in terms of my the division of my estate, what techniques are available in order to make sure that they are halachically valid and not just legally valid according to the laws of the state in which I live? And finally, to what extent will halacha recognize the division of an estate which is dictated by the laws of the country in which the decedent lived? For example, if he left no will, and then the laws of that country or that state will determine how the estate is divided. To what extent is that halachically valid? To what extent are the heirs, according to that state's laws, allowed to take the assets given to them by state law if they are not Torah heirs? For example, a widow or daughters, as we'll see in detail, to what extent they are or are not heirs al pi din Torah. To what extent can a beneficiary of a will take his or her share given to him by the will if it was not a halachic will, but it was only a will drafted according to the laws of the secular jurisdiction? In that context, we'd like to also take a look at trusts, which are an increasingly popular tool in the estate planner's package of tools. To what extent does halacha have anything to say about division of an estate via a trust set up during lifetime, for example, or set up as part of a will, on the other hand? All of these questions have found expression explicitly in the poskim, and they're very interesting shitot, opinions regarding every one of these questions. Having studied them, I think we will be able to reach some very important conclusions that we can call halacha l'maaseh. How do we actually do what we'd like to do in a way that is consistent with halacha, which obviously is something that everybody watching this video is interested in doing. The course will be built by by uploading a number of videos on each particular topic, in which I will present the relevant sources. There will be a source sheet that will be available for downloading within each one of the lectures. And hopefully the series of lectures will be able to cover all of the various topics in a way in which everybody will be able to understand and appreciate. At the very end of this course, we'll be interviewing a number of professionals, rabbonim and lawyers, who are engaged with this issue of halachic estate planning on a very practical level, whether as a Rav of their congregations or whether as lawyers. There are an increasing number of frum lawyers, Talmidei Chachamim, who've learned in yeshivot, who are fully aware of the complexities and the ramifications of halacha regarding this very, very important topic. And I'd like for them to be able to have an opportunity to express their experiences, to tell us about their experiences, and enrich our course by hearing from them directly. So there you have it. This is the plan. I hope that it'll generate enough interest to make the course viable. Please subscribe to the channel, and then you'll be able to receive notifications when new videos become available. That's it for now. Shalom. Litraot.